All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the Star Wars Mark of Balance podcast. This is Mark, and we're getting into another interview with a longtime friend and a longtime Star Wars friend. Probably around 15 years at this point of friendship, which is really crazy to put into perspective. And yeah, I'll let him introduce himself, Mr. Stephen Ruocco.
Hello there. How are you guys?
So I actually want to start with a story. I don't know if you'll remember it. We used to watch, obviously, Clone Wars together on Fridays when we were together, like, hanging out if we were ever together. And I remember one Friday I was over at your house, and the Clone Wars episode was coming on, and your dad was downstairs, and he was watching TV. And we were like, hey, can we watch a Clone Wars episode? And he's like, what the hell do you guys want to watch this stupid cartoon? And I think we turned it on, and he started watching it. He's like, this sucks, or something like that. And I was like, we were like, I don't even remember, maybe like 12, 10-year-old kids were like, we're just trying to watch cartoons or Star Wars. I don't know if you specifically remember that or not.
That part I don't remember, but I do remember coming over either your house or you coming over mine with Matt and us watching them.
Yeah. Those are some good times. There's like so much nostalgia that like nowadays if I see like a Cartoon Network like old commercial for Clone Wars, like I get like chills. I'm like, oh my gosh, like we really lived through that, which is crazy. And I know you mentioned you had a story you wanted to tell.
Yes.
I think it would be good if we hear a nice two stories to start.
So my favorite story going back for Star Wars is the fact that I loved the prequel series originally.
Yep.
And I just remember getting shit on by everybody because of the fact that I liked them. They're like, well, it's not the original trilogy. And they were like so elitist because I was like, well, one of my favorite films is Attack of the Clones.
Really?
And, oh yeah, hands down. Still love it to today.
Wow.
I just like the Geonosia. I like the arena.
Yeah.
The creatures. Everything about it was just great.
Respect.
Then all of a sudden, Clone Wars comes out. And everybody started to sing a different tune.
They
were like, this is so good. We love this. Blah, 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 blah. The characters, the complexity, the story arcs. I'm like, why? Because they're just elaborating a little bit more? Yeah. I was like, it's basically what happened in between episodes 2 and episode 3. And you kind of get that. I mean, maybe it was just me. I was crazy as a kid, and I came up with some of this in my head of, like, what would have happened in between. But now we actually have in canon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just remembered being in middle school, elementary, whatever it was, and everybody just being, like, elitist and like, well, that's not Star Wars. This is Star Wars. And I'm just like...
It is crazy how it's come around that the prequels are now... I don't want to say held in the same light as the original trilogy, but it's almost like they're on that same pedestal of respect, which is crazy. And I don't know if I've ever heard someone that said, like, Attack of the Clones was, like, one of their favorites. So I'm actually curious, like, what about, other than the, Geonosis, because that part's great, and, I love the music in it. What part about, like, the love story worked for you?
So the acting between Hayden and Natalie was very interesting.
Okay,
I mean, we're just going to leave it at that. But I think the fact that you saw it, at least in the beginning of it, it was kind of like a little kid crush. Because you saw that in The Phantom Menace. He had this, like, little kid crush on her.
Right, yes.
And, like, the age difference was...
kind of gross. A little gross.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden, the second film comes, and in the beginning you have the shapeshifter, bounty hunter, Anakin trying to, like, save her, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, you see the little bit of rage in him. But it's... I didn't think of it as, like, a bow, chicka, wow, wow. Like, I wasn't thinking that kind of love. I was thinking, like... Maybe he views her as, like, an older sister. Maybe it's, like, that hot babysitter that when you were a kid you had, like, a crush on kind of situation. And then halfway through, when they're in Naboo, whatever else, after the assassination attempt, they kind of, like, grow closer. And I think that if Anakin was exposed to more people and not just one girl...
Right.
Could have been very different. But due to the fact that he developed such a strong relationship for her while in hiding, that's
true.
Kind of worked for me, at least in my mind, due to the fact that it was very much little kid, hot babysitter crush, turned into this is the only person that I've actually ever known and talked to who was a female. That's why I like her. That part was fine. Then you lead up to Geonosia, all that. And then I love the fact, besides Ewan McGregor's horrible, beard coming on and off half the time, his storyline throughout it.
I do love Obi-Wan's in it.
Because there's...
Camino and all that's great.
Exactly. Due to the fact that you have Sifo Dyas, who was never mentioned in the first one, comes out in the second one, gets tied into Dooku. It kind of just all overlaps and overlays on top of each other. And I just think that was very complex because there was such a lore behind it that was revealed later on throughout.
He's so forward thinking with stuff. It's crazy. Like I don't even know if he ever imagined that he'd be able to tell that story, but just the fact that he put it in there and literally didn't even explain it is so crazy. Yeah, I think the only way I usually defended the love story in Attack of the Clones is I thought of Anakin as, imagine if a kid only grew up around like priests or he was in that kind of thing. And imagine his social skills and like how he would talk to women. He was taken as a kid by Obi-Wan and he was taken to Jedi Temple. Obviously the Jedi Temple, you're not allowed to have relationships. Even if there were girls around, you weren't able to mingle, stuff like that. And then imagine like you're able to go outside of that and try to have a conversation with a girl. Like imagine those like skills you would have. So like I feel like his awkward way of doing things kind of makes sense for him, at least in that film. I mean, watching it, you'll feel uncomfortable because the dialogue is kind of corny and interesting, but I think it is realistic, which is my defense for it.
And then also, with the whole Tusken Raiders, it showed you the little glimpse of he doesn't really know how to control himself.
Yeah.
Because think about it, he was a slave, was probably shit on most of his life as a slave.
Yeah,
then gets taken away from his mother, who's the only caring figure, I would say, in his life. Yeah. To get, like you said, thrust into like a priesthood almost, where you're just surrounded by people who you can't really form connections with. And then you go back to his mom being abused by them, and then he just slaughters the ever-loving shit out of them.
Right.
Because he was never really taught to control that. Like, yes, the Jedi are supposed to maintain their feelings and don't give in and this and that, but he was just a kid. He doesn't really know any better. And I also don't know what his age is supposed to be during Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I don't...
But if you think from Phantom Menace to there, the whole war kind of like secret started, blah, 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 whatever else.
Yeah.
So it has to be at least maybe less than 10 years or give or take.
I always guessed he was like 17, 18-ish in that movie, but I'm sure it's out there. Like we could find out. But yeah, no, I think the Tusken Raider part in that movie is one of the best in Star Wars. Like between the music and then I love the shot of him on the speeder bike and as the suns are setting and he's going across that whole wasteland, and yeah, I think that's great. And then obviously when she dies in his hand, it's like super emotional
because he just butchers all of
them. Oh
them.
yeah,
like,
the
he's
women,
leaving
the
no
children,
victims behind.
I think that's the scene when he talks about sand that he hates so much after he does it.
Well, that's right, because he's standing there, I hate sand.
She just walks in.
Course.
She's like, okay, what do you want to talk about? Oh, well, I just slaughtered a whole village, but I'm going to talk about sand. Yeah, I think that was a good way to start, for sure. A big, fat attack on the clones. I didn't expect that to start, but I like it. I really like it. So I guess we kind of talked about your movie preference. Obviously, we'll get to more of them later. But I want to hear about your... probably what was the point that Star Wars really, like, hooked you? Where you knew that it was more than just, like, an average sci-fi film and that you were really going to, be into it for the rest of your life?
I want to say the toys.
Okay.
I want to say once... Because I remember as a kid wanting one of those flip-out blade lightsaber.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so jealous that the kids today have the new Disney, like, plug-in ones that you could, like, detach the blade down.
Yeah, Troy brought it. Yeah,
exactly.
It was serious.
Last year, it was still a standard blade in it. Now you can remove them. You could do different colors, whatever else. That's what really got me sold, because I felt as though that I was a part of that world.
Yeah.
I'll never forget battling Matt Waltown and Nick in Matt's backyard and accidentally busting Matt Waltown's nose with a lightsaber. I will never forget that story, but that's just what we did. We took the lightsabers and we took the Nerf blasters and whatever else, and we made our own Star Wars stories.
We did, yeah.
Because back then they had action figures, like Filoni and Favreau and all those other people that grew up on the original trilogy had all the toys and all the action figures.
Yeah.
Today... Or I should say when we were kids, and I guess today.
Oh gosh, don't say that.
I know.
Yeah,
only going back 10 years, but
right.
Still. We didn't really have the action figures. I know we had the Lego sets and this and that, but they weren't action figures as like you could buy a whole pack in one of those Jawa ships and whatever else. Today you just bought the individual things and they were like $12, $15 a pop.
Yeah.
So you bought a Nerf gun or a Star Wars lightsaber or something else for $20 and you got to create your own stories.
Yeah. No, I do remember that. And we did. We like every time we hung out, it would somehow always end up being some sort of Star Wars story thing that we'd make up with either Nerf guns or lightsabers, and obviously people got hurt as we heard from you. Yeah, no, that's great. Obviously I've on some of my pictures that I post on the Instagram, like I'm a huge Lego guy. The collection is ever growing. I want to get that $700 Star Destroyer one that's 2 feet long, but like at this point in my life, like spending $700 on that something like that is not what I need to do. But yeah, I mean, toys are one of the reasons like Star Wars is this huge franchise. Yeah. They make so much money off merchandise. Well, what George Lucas said, he said it's about the movies, but it's mostly about the toys and the merchandise after for kids.
That's why we have Ewoks. That's why we have Porgs.
Yeah.
It's you have to market somehow.
Total capitalist movie franchise. I'm kidding. I love it. All right, so since we're talking like nostalgia, kind of going back, what would be your, favorite Star Wars memory? Obviously, we both recently went to Star Wars Celebration in Chicago. I don't know if that is your favorite Star Wars memory. I know Star Wars Celebration is usually my favorite Star Wars memory, but let's hear your favorite memory.
So Star Wars Celebration was fantastic. It was my first time going. Like I've been to Comic-Con, I've been to the other like little smaller stuff, but never something that was just solely dedicated to Star Wars. And there really was something different about this one due to the fan base. Because I just remember walking around and everybody would move over for you. Because normally when you're like looking at a panel or something, everybody's trying to rush in to get the front seat. Everybody's standing in everybody's way, everything else. But in Star Wars Celebration, we had 501st Troopers wearing full friggin' either Clone Trooper or Stormtrooper armor standing right in front of us. And they had their pauldrons on the side and whatnot, and they just casually like scooted over so like we can get in and see. Because it's just a community. Yeah. Like, that's one of my favorite memories. And I also think that's another reason why I like Star Wars is because of the fact that it is such a tight-knit community of fandom. And we are accepting of other people to come in. And we're not going to be like, oh, well, you like Star Trek, so you can't like Star Wars too. Or, oh, you're
some
this
people
or that.
are. But yeah.
Well, yeah, but those are also people that hate everything else as well.
Few and far between. Yeah.
My other favorite Star Wars memory goes back to one of my very first memories was when my grandmother, which is my mom's mom, Grandma Red, gave me my first Star Wars DVD set, which was actually a VHS set. Like, that's how long ago it was.
Was it all 6 or
it
3
was
movies? Or was
the
it like
original trilogy.
Okay.
It was, I think, the remastered one, because it was like black and silver, and each one had like a engraved character on it. Nice. One was like Yoda, one was, I want to say Darth Vader, and then I forget what the New Hope was. I want to say the New Hope was the Rebel Alliance symbol.
Okay.
And so, it was Rebel Alliance, then Vader was Empire, and Yoda was Return.
Cool.
And I just remember getting that and just playing him over and over and over again. Because I want to say that might have been my first time seeing Star Wars, but I know I also had the DVDs of them. And I definitely would watch the DVDs before the VHS. Yeah. But that's just one of my favorite memories, because I actually had that. And, like, the DVDs were my parents', so they weren't mine, but this was an actual physical gift that my grandmother gave me that was my first, like, piece I owned kind of situation.
Yeah, I don't even think I can remember, like, the first time I ever saw Star Wars, so it's cool that, like, you think that might be it, and you know the exact origin, which is, I think, really unique. I know a lot of people... my sister said she remembers specifically first seeing Star Wars because it was Phantom Menace, like, in the movie theater. So, that's cool. I kind of wish I had that, but it's okay. But yeah, what you said about Celebration, I think... other than the panels and everything, obviously the panels are amazing. First of all, Season 7 of Clone Wars, me and Steven sat outside in the frickin' snow in April.
Cold in Chicago.
It snowed like 6 inches, and we sat outside to get in the convention center for the panel for Clone Wars. What they didn't tell us is that they weren't going to let us in before. The other thing is that you have to stand outside in April in Chicago. I have no idea who thought that was a good idea.
It was snowing maybe 3 to 4 inches like every
it was a lot.
30 minutes or whatever.
It was not like a flurry. It was a lot of snow.
It was insane.
And then once we got inside, they were like, oh, you got to watch this panel with Alan Tudyk, which is fine. Alan Tudyk's a funny guy, but like, I don't need to see a panel on just Alan Tudyk. So it was kind of cool that we saw him and got to experience that. But like the shift in the crowd when Alan Tudyk finally got off the stage and everyone was like, okay, now it's time for Clone Wars. And, you know, obviously when the cowboy hat comes out, Mr. Dave Filoni, and then they had I think they had almost everyone. They had Matt Lanter's Anakin, they had James Arnold Taylor, Obi-Wan, they had Ahsoka, Ashley. They had Sam Witwer, who was great. I love Sam Witwer.
The guy who played all the clones, what's his name again?
D. Bradley Baker, yeah. He was there, yeah. And then I think they had the guy that plays Yoda. I forget his name. But yeah, that panel was the most insane thing ever. The energy in that room when they showed the first trailer.
And it got complete silence. We're talking thousands of people.
Oh yeah, it was like a...
complete silence.
Yeah, this was like just think of like an NBA arena. It's kind of like that. A little bit smaller, but it was packed to the brim. And me and Steve were on the floor level. We actually had really good seats. We were like way in the back on the floor level though. And yeah, that was the coolest panel I've ever been to for sure. And me and Steven were there, and we were one of the first to ever witness season 7 of Clone Wars. So, you know, whatever you saw, me and Steven saw it kind of first. We only got little clips, but that was a tangent. But yeah, back to what you said about the community. One of my favorite parts about Celebration itself is literally just walking around and checking out people's booths, and they sell their own like either artwork or they sell like Legos,
the Alec Guinness mug,
or they sell the Alec Guinness mugs that Steven got, and you can just go around and you just look at all this. I know it's a lot of stuff. I know it's a lot of material things, but just like the way you can interact with people, because everyone just has something in common, obviously, and just shopping around. Like I don't think we bought a lot. We just looked a lot, and just, you know, I think that's the best part. And then you see, obviously, like you said, you see people dressed up. You see them all taking pictures. The tattoo booth, oh my gosh.
Insane. Everybody, I think, got tatted that day.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
I promise, Mom, I don't have a tattoo. I didn't get the tattoo there. But it was tempting. There was a guy, I remember, I think I have a picture on my phone. He's getting the entire Millennium Falcon, like, in a battle on his back. Like, his whole back from shoulder blade to shoulder blade was just this battle scene of the Millennium Falcon being attacked by a couple TIE fighters. I have no idea. Like, he bought a ticket to Celebration just to go there and get tatted for 8 hours. Like, that is crazy, but so cool. But yeah, Celebration was... if you really, really love Star Wars and you can get to a Celebration that's anywhere near you, I cannot recommend it enough. Obviously, Steven can't recommend it enough. It's well worth your time.
It's also worth traveling to, because we went to Chicago. I mean, granted, we shouldn't have gone to Chicago in April. And, you know, but it was still fantastic, whether it's in Orlando, Anaheim, Chicago. They do one in Sydney.
They did the one
location, right?
I think Sydney and London. I think they did London.
It is well worth the travel.
Yeah, and Chicago is a great city, actually. I know you were very surprised because you're a New York guy. And
you
were
exactly. I was like, wow, this is 2 layers? Wow, okay.
He's like, oh, wow, this street's really clean, huh? And if we were walking at a park, he's like, I don't think I'd be able to walk in a park in New York this late at night. I'm like, yeah, Chicago's pretty nice. But yeah, I really like that city. And the hotel we stayed at was actually like an old-timey hotel.
Yeah, it was the Warwick.
Warwick, yeah. The bathroom was, I don't want to say Art Deco, but it was like very industrial. But it was really nice. I was like, we can afford this? It looked like a luxury kind of place, but waking up early, the second day it sucks because you did it the day before just to get there early, and then you get home from walking all day. Like, your feet are dead. And then you just wake up at, I don't know when I
think we got up at 7 that day.
6, okay, so not too bad, but, you know, a day of walking. And I will say, there are no chairs in Star Wars Celebration. The only time you are ever going to be sitting down is in the panels.
Or if you're going to the food court, which I really don't think we ate that day until after we got out. It was just nonstop from, I want to say, 9 to 4, not eating, and then we decided to grab our lunch, dinner, and breakfast after.
I could probably count the number of meals I've eaten while going to Celebration on one hand. Between my sister and going with you, I can't remember a single meal I ever had in the convention center. I don't think I really ate. You just feed off the energy when you're in there. But yeah, you're either sitting on a concrete floor with nothing to lean on except the backpack you brought in, or you're sitting on a folding chair in a panel room.
Yeah.
Oh, and that reminds me, we saw the Mandalorian panel.
Yes,
we saw the Mandalorian
saw
before
the
anyone saw
Mandalorian.
it. That was a good Star Wars celebration.
We found out about the 501st before the Disney Insider thing did.
Yeah, yep, we did that. They literally had like security guards walking around so you weren't taking videos in the Mandalorian panel. The clip we saw was like the first 5 minutes of Mandalorian when he's on that snow planet, and then they gave us like a sizzle reel, I think, of like the whole season
else,
1. Yeah, we had a good celebration. Clone Wars, Mandalorian. We missed Rise of Skywalker, which...
We were flying down that day. I remember sitting in traffic when the trailer came
dropped,
out, and you sent it to me. And I just remember my reaction being like, oh, shit, okay.
Yeah.
And then the movie came out.
And then
I was like, oh, shit.
The hype kind of subsided, so it was okay we didn't get that one. But yeah, the Mandalorian and Clone Wars, those were 2 huge panels that we hit.
I will say what's really nice about Celebration as well is if you missed the big panel, they have that Star Wars...
The stage, Central Stage or something. Star Wars Show stage.
Star Wars Show, thank you. Yeah, it's like a little sub-stage that's on like the main showroom floor, the main convention floor, and they bring out the different celebrities and stars that were in the main panels, and they kind of give you a quick little like rehash of what was discussed. You may not get the exclusive trailers or videos or this or that, but if you can't make it into the panel itself, you can always go over to that Star Wars Show stage and catch a glimpse of whatever they're talking about.
Yeah, we weren't able to get into the Jedi Fallen Order panel because you were only able to do 2 panels, I think, a day or something. So we didn't get into that one. So we went to the Star Wars stage, and we were there, and you're really close to the stage, so you can get close to the celebrities when they come out. And I remember the trailer dropped, and we were sitting at the stage, and we got to watch the trailer like at the stage. And then I think they brought like the game developers, so we saw Stig and the guy who runs Respawn Entertainment. I forget his name, but
then the actor
they were there
who played Cal also came out.
Yeah, did we? We were able to see him.
Yeah, because he came out with the blaster. Remember, and shot the T-shirt.
Okay. Yeah. So we were close to Cal Kestis. Yeah. And you get the same experience. There's something for everyone. You're either, if you don't make it to the panels, like obviously it's a bummer you don't get the exclusive poster. But I said the same thing to you as I said to my sister the first time me and Jen went. Like, you could go to Star Wars Celebration and spend the whole day just sitting at that stage. Yeah. And just, you get interviews, you get up and close, probably closer than you would in a panel.
100%, yeah.
You get to see all the trailers, maybe a little later, and you're close to all the booths, so then you could just go shopping and look at stuff around there. So, that's a good point. The Star Wars show stage is very good. I don't know the guy's name, but it's something Gutierrez and then the other guy who runs it with the glasses.
Yes.
I walked past him in one of the Star Wars celebrations. I think it was Orlando. I don't know if it was the one we went to. I literally was walking in the convention center by myself. I think my sister was somewhere else, and he was walking. And I was walking. I recognized him. I'm like, "Hey, you're the guy from the Star Wars show." He's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Hey, nice to meet you." Just casual walk by. But yeah, that's like the cool thing about Celebration. You don't know who you're gonna walk into.
Exactly.
But I could gush about Star Wars Celebration forever. So we talked about, obviously characters, walking into people dressed like characters. So, who is your favorite character? Has it changed over the years?
Yeah, I want to say it has. I want to say originally it was Yoda.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I remember you really liked Yoda.
Because I liked the green lightsaber. That was my thing, because green is my favorite color. Yeah. And also, he was short, and you would not expect him to be badass, and then you had the prequel trilogy that came out, and you saw him be a badass and whatnot. Yeah. So I really liked Yoda growing up, but of course there's Han, so you can't really compare.
You love dressing like Hope. Yeah, you used to love dress like, you probably still do.
Well, we went to Star Wars Celebration. I brought my jacket. I was in there's a jacket in Target. It's a rain jacket. Yeah, that looks just like Han's in Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, the vest kind of looking thing, right? Yeah,
and it's insane how similar it looks. And I brought it there with us just because I was like, well, I'm not going to dress up. I'm just going to wear something that looks familiar to it. But Han, especially now that I have my dog, I would say kind of more of my personal favorite currently, because Walt reminds me of Chewie. Yeah. And he's like my little Chewie. When I bring him in the car, he sits, shotgun. He's your co-pilot, and everything. Yeah. It's just not that Chewie's a dog or is
no,
his,
of course not. He's part of
the but he's like family. That's how I view Walt. Walt's like part of my family more than my parents and other sisters sometimes. So just that connection, I guess, kind of leans me a little bit more towards Han now. I do really like Poe from the sequels. Though.
Yeah.
Poe is a great character, and I think that it was very complex. Especially in Rise of Skywalker, they revealed that he was a spice runner and this and that.
Yeah, I like that.
It kind of was just like, hey, this is the new Han. But, like, we knew that back during The Force Awakens, that, like, this is what the new Han was going to be. Rey was going to be the new Luke, and John/Finn was going to be the new, like, Leia character, unfortunately.
Yeah, he could be, yeah.
But you know what it is. They did change everything up a little bit so it wasn't such cookie-cutter between the original and there. But there was always that main three, because in the main three in the prequels were Obi, Anakin, and Padme.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, you gotta go in threes. Yeah, I can never tell if I liked Poe because of him or just because I love Oscar Isaacs. I can't tell, because I freaking love Oscar Isaacs. He's one of my favorite actors. And he's got a couple great projects. I mean, he's got Dune, and he's got Metal Gear Solid. He just cast the Solid Snake.
And he's in the Moon Knight series for
Marvel. Oh my gosh, yeah, he's gonna be good. But yeah, I can never tell. But yeah, I always remember you loved Yoda. You always did the voice. You always quoted him. But definitely you like Han, and then Poe. I mean, that same kind of archetype.
Yeah.
I have my favorite characters, but Rex.
I
feel Rex is a great character too. But yeah, I feel like it changes. Like you said, like season 7 of Clone Wars, like Rex was a great character throughout Clone Wars, but in season 7, like that made him even better character between, his clone side and then with Ahsoka. His progression in just a year, I mean, even could make him one of my favorite characters too. So yeah, and I think that's great because you could just keep getting more great characters because they keep coming up with them and keep making them better.
Just look at the characters from The Mandalorian too.
Yeah.
The complexity of
Cara
Mando.
Cara Dune, I really like her character development.
She
I like to see where she goes from.
Gets her own spin-off series to canceled, so
that's progression right there.
That's full circle. You really can't go. You go from not being hired to then again not being hired. Fantastic.
I'm excited to see where they take her character. So we talked about Attack of the Clones in the beginning. Would you want to do... Is that your favorite movie? Or do you want to do... I know Troy last week, he insisted that he gave a tier list or a whole ranking. I don't know if you want to do a whole ranking.
I could give you a ranking.
Okay, we're going to do Skywalker only, Skywalker Saga only, 9? Or are you throwing Solo and Rogue One in?
Okay, so
you like Solo. You should, or you like
Solo's
you like
nice.
Han Solo. So.
Yeah.
All right,
Solo is nice. I think that if you have your main list here,
yeah.
Solo's like in that little bracket right off to the side. Like it doesn't
really
have exactly. It's not my favorite. It wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It wasn't the worst Star Wars movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's just like there. It's in the ether.
Yeah.
Rogue One though, by far a fantastic movie, a fantastic Star Wars movie. Hands down, would be up there in one of like my top 5 favorite Star Wars films.
I think it's crazy when people said it had a slow start. I don't know what you didn't like about like it gave you new characters and it gave you one movie to get them and like them and it did that. It gave you a whole set of new characters
and like you knew by the end of it they were going to die. Like there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
You knew something bad was going to happen
because they're not in the original.
You just knew something, yeah. And it gives you a whole new cast of characters. It gives you a good villain. I think Krennic was really good. Over time, you kind of appreciated him more. Yeah. That was new for Star Wars. I feel Star Wars has their big bad villains, but I don't think they've ever focused on like a one villain movie kind of like centered. I think that was cool.
I think what worked about it was the fact that you kind of rooted for him to like give you a big FU to Tarkin.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think that was kind of that, like, you were kind of rooting for him, even though you didn't want him to win because he was the developer of the Death Star and whatnot. But you kind of felt for him because he was really a person just doing his job.
Yeah.
It wasn't as if he got off on inflicting pain. He didn't want to inflict pain. All he wanted to do was rise throughout the ranks of the Empire and kind of like get the power that he was looking for.
And thought he deserved,
Yeah, and when Vader chokes him out at Mustafar, that scene was great because you see that like disgust and like despising in his eyes of Vader and Tarkin and the Empire and this and that. But you see him looking for that power still. So he just sits there, takes his force choke, and then kind of like moves on with his day.
I think without a doubt is the best looking Star Wars film. I don't even think it's close. The sequels, I would say Last Jedi probably the next best visually.
Yeah.
But obviously because of Rian Johnson, like he's a different kind of director than Star Wars usually has.
And so is Gareth Edwards, and like that's
and he killed it.
Exactly. Ron Howard did whatchamacallit, Solo.
Yeah.
Which Ron Howard's a great director, but he also took the project over from somebody
else. It was halfway done, yeah.
To finish it. So you can't really go off of the two visual styles.
Exactly. I think I knew Rogue One was going to be amazing from the opening shot.
Oh, yeah.
That ship going over the beach and then going into that black sand and then having that wide shot of the Death Troopers and then Krennic right in the middle walking over that grass.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was like, okay, this is going to be different kind of Star Wars movie, but I like it. Okay, so so if there was a list, Rogue One would be top 5, but we'll just do Skywalker.
So
okay.
for the 9,
we'll start at 9.
I would have to say probably I'll start from the bottom and work my way up.
Yep.
At the bottom, Rise.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because I'm not going to knack on it because you can knack on so many different things about it, but it just felt rushed.
Yes.
And don't like things that are rushed. Like
right.
season 7 of or the last season of Game of Thrones
felt
so rushed.
Yeah.
But that's a different story for a different time.
That's a different one.
Then I would have to say I really enjoyed, but I'm going to put it down there a little bit, the Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Great film still.
Yeah.
Just, it took me out of the world and kind of gave me all the scientific facts about it, which
that's true.
Are great, and like you need that to build the rest of the story. Mm-hmm. But that's like a fluffer. That's like your dialogue expositional film.
Right, that's true.
Then I would probably say, even though it's one of my personal favorites, I would say Attack of the Clones.
So there. So this is an objective list?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're going off of like which ones are the best films,
okay,
not which one are my personal favorites.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then you probably have Return of the Jedi. Great film.
Wow, that hurts me.
Listen, it's a great film.
Okay.
But it also has the ending scene when George decided to recut everything and put Coruscant and Naboo and all that other stuff in. Yeah. And like that's the one I remember. Because I don't really recall the exact original trilogy. Mm-hmm. I think I was either the remastered or the second remastered.
Yeah, you don't
whatever
even
it was.
know.
Like I don't know what it was originally.
That's true.
Like Jabba the Hutt was that horrible, stupid CGI creature.
Yeah.
Palpatine was Palpatine, not the creepy one-eyed figure.
That thing was ugly.
Yeah, I don't even know what that was.
Yeah.
Then it goes Force Awakens. Okay. Again, great film. Little cookie cutter, but still a great film.
Yeah.
Then it's A New Hope.
Yep. Okay.
Started off the whole series.
Yeah.
Everybody loves it. It's everybody's personal favorite, which I get it because like it's the original. It started everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's the nostalgia. There's a little slow moments in there.
I think the beginning is the slowest part, and I don't want to say the word. There's not a bad part of the film, but if you were to say one thing that would turn people off, I think the beginning is very slow. I think it takes an hour to really get into the movie.
The storyline. Yeah. Then I would say like the top. I think I'm down to the 3, right, or 2. I think there's 2 left.
I think you still have to do Last Jedi, Empire, and Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, so the top 3 are kind of interchangeable.
Okay.
Just personally for me.
I think so, too.
It would probably go Revenge.
Okay.
Though, if it was going to go. And then either Last Jedi and Empire or Empire Last Jedi.
Wow.
Not 100% sure. And I know I'm going to get a lot of slack for it because Last Jedi, very, very decisive.
Controversial, yeah.
But I personally think that it was amazing. And I was actually thinking this on the way in the car right here because I knew this question was going to come up. Why? And it's because, yes, Mark Hamill broke down crying because of the character on set because he didn't like the way Rian Johnson was portraying him. Mm-hmm. But in a way, it kind of makes sense because if you go from this farm boy to the most liked person in the entire galaxy, like you are the beacon of hope. You are a new hope. For the whole world, galaxy, whatever else you want to call it.
Yeah.
You're going to have your own flaws. You're not perfect. Everybody isn't perfect. And I think that was a great movie to show that everybody has their own flaws.
Yeah.
Luke has his flaw. Yes. Would Luke ever probably pull his lightsaber out on his nephew? Probably not.
Yeah.
Would he make a stupid decision, though?
Impulsive? Yeah, for sure.
100%.
For sure.
Even though he is the optimist, he's like the ideal, like, golden savior child kind of situation. That's just something that I think you get rid of the I toss my lightsaber over me and it hits a porg situation and focus on everything else that is there for the character. It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense that Kylo is touring and tossing between being good, being bad, killing Snoke, not killing Snoke, wanting to kill his mom, not wanting to kill his mom, etc., etc., etc. Yes, he killed Han right off the bat. But I think that, especially due to the fact that it kind of was alluded in The Force Awakens, that Han left them at some point.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And also, that's just Han's character. He's a smuggler. He's not always going to be, like, the ideal father.
Of course not.
Who would be, like, Han Solo, father of the year, number one freaking person? Nobody, ever.
Yeah.
So, the fact that he would have had a more deeper connection with his mom makes a hell of a lot more sense than...
That's true. Yeah.
Being with Han. Mm-hmm. And I think that was very well explored with that beginning shot, kind of. I think it's towards the beginning where he's going to blow up the bridge, but he doesn't because his mom's there. And like that shows such character development that I don't think you see throughout any of the rest of them. I think the only other time you see it is Vader kind of like giving that look at Luke, giving the look at the Emperor, and then deciding, you know what, I got to make a stand right now.
I think why people really like Last Jedi is it's very nuanced. It's one of the only Star Wars movies, I think, that is, like nuanced. It's very subtle in how it does things. That usually Star Wars is pretty out there with most of its things, and, you know, George isn't known for his dialogue writing, I'd say. So sometimes, you know, Star Wars does a little more show, not tell kind of stuff. Yeah. And I think Last Jedi does subtlety and nuance well. But like I mentioned in my two reviews of it, I see the problems. I do see the problems.
100%.
I get the problems.
Such a flawed film, but also it's kind of nice that it's a flawed film because the characters are flawed.
Thematic.
Exactly.
It's thematic. The film's flawed. The characters are flawed. Okay, so that's your objective list. Well, all right. So what would just be your top three?
Top three
most enjoyable.
I would say probably the same
three. Okay.
Yeah. And then if you want to throw in Rogue One into the mix, just to toss it off.
And Attack of the Clones kind of peeking in there. Just a little.
Because again, that battle scene in Geonosis is just top dollar.
Yeah.
Like, you have that stupid sometimes when you just see them flailing their lightsabers.
Left, right.
But it's still a great, personally for me, like, joyous film.
Yeah, I mean, you see, like, 600 Jedi on a screen fighting. I mean, you're never going to see that ever again unless the High Republic show ever comes out. I know the Acolyte won't.
Are they?
The Acolyte's supposed to be High Republic, but I don't think it'll be focused really on over-the-top Jedi bombastic stuff like Attack of the Clones. But, you know, I'm still hoping for Old Republic. Give me something from there. I don't know why they don't.
Ryan got his films back, right?
He does have his
that's
films,
what that was.
I really think Old Republic would be better as a show because it's such a vast...
Yeah.
There's so many characters you could do with it, and I think... have you seen the pictures of, like, Keanu Reeves as Darth Revan?
Yes, I have.
Come on. Come on.
He wants to be part, and he also wants to be part of the MCU, too, so, like, somebody just has to,
he
like,
could do anything.
Sign him
He
up.
can do anything he wants. Wow. Darth Revan, if that ever happens with Keanu, oh man, that'd be a great day, huh? All right, I'll ask one more question because we just brought up the Acolyte High Republic. What's your most anticipated show or project? I mean, there's 10 or so projects announced. What's your most anticipated, you think?
Let me see. I'm very excited to see the Ahsoka one.
Yeah,
because I think I want to see the rest of her storyline.
Yeah,
because that is a character we grew up with. Like,
of course.
We saw her go from the
12 years, like crazy. Yeah. 12 years.
You went from basically not even a Padawan to kicked out to back in to white Jedi, gray Jedi, whatever it is, to being in The Mandalorian and so on and so forth. So spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I'm pretty sure people know.
That one. I would also say, what's the one about? Oh, the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I think that one's going to be so great.
Because I was watching a TikTok. I'm on TikTok now.
Oh, there you go.
I just downloaded TikTok.
Plug.
I don't do anything on TikTok except scroll and watch the videos.
Okay.
But there was a video about like the trailer breakdown from Bad Batch. And because they were defective clones, there was an idea about how their inhibitor chips didn't work. And that's why you see the really big guy who's like kind of stupid.
Wrecker, I think his name.
Yeah. Slamming some clones' heads together because like they turn.
Yeah, no, I think that's sick because I don't know if we've ever discussed it when we were kids, but I feel like we've put up that scenario like what would happen if like the clones didn't defect and they fought the clones. Like I always thought that scenario would be sick, and the fact that we're getting it is going to be amazing.
100%. I think it's going to be amazing. Because it's interesting because of the fact that you have Fives and you have all those other people and whatnot, and it's such a niche group.
Well, Echo, Five is gone.
Sorry, Echo.
R.I.P.
You have such that niche group, and you know that he doesn't have his inhibitor.
Oh yeah, he's messed up.
That was the whole part of his storyline, was he was the one that discovered the inhibitor chips in the first place.
Well, Fives did.
Yeah, but Echo was the one that was taken away.
He's super messed up. Yeah. Poor guy.
And it's just going to be so interesting because of the fact that you kind of saw a little bit of that in the last season of Clone Wars, where Rex is like, we can't kill Ahsoka, she's not a Jedi. And all the rest of them just kind of stood there and looked, and they were like, they couldn't compute it.
Yeah.
Because they were like, wait a second, that's true. Our orders are only to kill the Jedi, but she has a lightsaber, and she uses the Force, and she was a Jedi. So is she a war criminal? Is she what?
Yeah.
So I think that would be really... Exactly. I think it would be really interesting to see the dynamic between people that are like, wait a second, we were fighting with them, and they became basically our best friends and like brother in arms, to all of a sudden just slaughtering all of them out of nowhere. So I think that'd be really interesting. I don't recall the rest of the 10 projects that are coming out. I do know the one that I'm not excited for is the Rogue Squadron one.
The movie?
The movie. Yeah. Just because we have the game.
We have the game. We have the original trilogy. Like, what
it's just like every single fighter pilot story.
Yeah, like what
Unless it's going to be like Top Gun in space. Like, I'll be down for that.
That sounds pretty cool.
But I just... Like, Patty Jenkins is a great, great, great director. I'm not knocking her at all because she's the one directing it. I just didn't feel like that was a necessary one. I also don't know what's going to happen with the Cara Dune story for the
Rangers.
The Rangers one. Yeah. But that's another one I'm also not really excited for.
Either, yeah.
Because, like, I like the idea of not showing everything. I like the idea of, like, kind of leaving it open-ended. And if you're going to give well, she was in Alderaan, it blew up. Well, she wasn't on Alderaan when it blew up, obviously.
I would hope so.
And then she was like this elite Republic trooper, resistance, whatever you want to call it, trooper that was killing all these Empire people. And like now we're gonna get their storyline of it, of like an elite group. We kind of have.
We gotta get it. Yeah. No, I think that's the main problem with Disney right now is they've greenlit so many stories and so many of them could have been cut.
Yeah.
I like Lando. I don't think he needs a show. I liked Cassian. I don't think he needs a show. I think their mystery background is good enough.
I think, though, with the Cassian story, if they do it properly, could be one of the best Star Wars TV shows. But you're kind of getting that with The Mandalorian now, because it's kind of that, like, darker, grittier side, anti-hero, but you're still kind of rooting for him. He's a bounty hunter, assassin, blah, 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 whatever else you want to call it, kind of situation. I think that could be really cool and great. But I also, on the other hand, K2SO was supposed to be in it, and now it's like...
did you see that? He's like not... he's not in it or something?
Oh, I guarantee he's going to be in like the last few episodes.
He's gonna that's how they get... Yeah, that's how they get, reunited. Because he said it. Yeah. Alan Tudyk literally said, he's like, oh, yeah, we're kind of like in development now.
Yeah, originally it was called...
At the panel.
K2, Cassian and K2 or whatever. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're like, no, we're going to put him off to the distance. I was like, what? Okay.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm okay with the Rangers of the New Republic is that Dave Filoni is the showrunner of it. And I just can't not trust him with Star Wars.
So could he just take over and like we kick out Kennedy? Because like
that's what I'm saying. I think every Star Wars project should either be helmed by Dave Filoni or be helmed by someone that is like a direct student of Dave Filoni. Because that's the only way you'll ever get true Star Wars as close to what George wanted true Star Wars to be. Is you gotta pass it down. And I know they won't because they paid him so much money. But I'd love to see what George would do with Star Wars now.
Isn't he attached to one of the new projects? Because I know I could have swore I saw an article about something he's writing a new thing. It's either a series or a new trilogy or something. I forget what it was, but I could have swore, and it was Dave Filoni and George. So like,
I'd love to see it.
The Godfather, and then the new like heir to
Vito
the throne.
And Michael,
exactly. Yeah. So, not 100% sure. You could probably look it up.
Yeah, because I definitely will. All right, Steven. I think we've hit on just about everything we wanted to. We hit on a lot of topics. I think we brought up some really interesting things that I hope you guys enjoy. Anything else you wanted to talk about? Anything else that's on your mind about Star Wars? Or
yes, fast before we go. The Galactic Cruiser, the hotel.
Oh yeah, Disney. Yeah. Go ahead, talk about it.
They're hiring. So like, if anybody wants a job, you They're looking for character performers. They're looking for hotel staff. They're looking for the one that I keep getting an email about is a hotel manager / systems operator. So if anybody out there has 10 years of experience in hotel management or system operating for large scale theme parks, they're hiring. So I'm
that's
just
the
excited.
hotel?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're building the I saw the aerial photos, the connecting channel. It's going to be almost like a cart, basically. Like a lift that takes you from the back of the Star Cruiser Hotel into Galaxy's Edge, right in between the First Order and like Milk Stand. I know you haven't been yet,
right.
but there's a section in the back, like right or left section of the park, wherever you're looking, where there's Kylo Ren's ship. There's a First Order depot, and then you have the blue and green milk stand. That's where the channel's going to be to bring you directly to and from the hotel to the park.
Yeah, Steven's like a next level Disney fan. Like he has every perk package and like membership you can have with Disney. So he knows everything and he knows like everything that's gonna happen. But I can't imagine that'll be not booked for 3 years in advance. It's gonna be insane to ever get in there.
I know that it's probably gonna be like the elite first.
Yeah,
everybody that has billions of dollars are probably gonna go. Yeah. They're probably gonna get some influencers to plug it, and then it's probably gonna be us.
Yeah, hopefully my podcast will be big enough that they want me to go and be an influencer.
Well, listen, you could always send it into Disney too and be like, listen, I can try to do the press thing.
Oh, okay.
Be like, hey, I'm a podcaster. This is my following, whatnot. So,
there you go.
And then we could bring you guys along too.
Yeah, you guys will get exclusives. There you go. It's surprising it took this long for Steven to mention Disney or anything to do with Disney, so that's good we finally got it out there. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Steven.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to talk Star Wars. Obviously, hopefully we get to either Galaxy's Edge or Celebration very soon when things get normal again. I think Anaheim is the next Star Wars Celebration. Right? Yeah, so hopefully we can get to that one. I heard Anaheim does a good Star Wars Celebration the last time they had it. So yeah, Steven, if you want to say goodbye and thank everyone.
Well, again, thank you so much for having me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Follow Mark on his Instagram.
Yeah.
His, Apple Music, where the podcast.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Yep. Great. All right, thank you everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and may the Force be with you. Ooh, yeah, nice. 50-minute banger.
Damn.